Hello, everyone. Welcome to Plattwoods Church. My name is Evie Martin. I'm the lead pastor here. It's great to be gathered together in this space for worship, and a special welcome to those of you with us on the live stream this morning. Any Charlie Brown readers in the room will remember the classic Peanuts frames of Charlie Brown trying to kick the football with Lucy. How does it go? You remember? Lucy sets up the ball. She promises she will hold it steady as he kicks, and Charlie, with a running start and full sweep of the leg, kicks at nothing but air as Lucy has swiped the ball away once again. Every time she swears she won't. Every time Charlie hesitates. Every time she persuades him. Every time he is tricked again. This comic is iconic, some would say of gullibility. For today's purposes, we might say trust. Charlie Brown believes that Lucy is going to do what she says she's going to do every single time. She doesn't, but he always trusts that she will. The fact that we are so bothered by poor Charlie Brown's foolishness may say more about our own heart's capacity to trust than it does about a comic strip character's character. So guess what we're going to talk about today? Trust. This month we've been exploring the songbook of our Bible, the book of Psalms. Because we mostly just see them as words on a page, it can be easy to forget that these 150 chapters are each a prayer, a poem, a song in their own right. They are the hymnal, the words for worship for millions, probably billions of people throughout history, as they are shared among the world's three monotheistic religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. For centuries, the church has set these words to music with varying styles and instrumentation and rhythms, but their poetry and their truth have spilled over into pop culture as well. Coolio hits it right out of the gate with his 1995 Grammy Award winner.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left.
What psalm's that from? Anybody know? 23, we just prayed it a moment ago. Or Mumford & Sons, 15 years ago. Awake my soul. Anyone know what psalm that's from? 57, Psalm 57. Where are my diehard U2 fans? We opened with those. All right, what about this one?
I will sing a new song. I will sing a new song.
He's so young. Anyone know that one? The name of it? Shout it out.
Oh, I don't know the name.
The name is the number of the psalm. 40. It's 40, Psalm 40. But good job. These words harness the cries, the yearnings of the human heart, both inside and outside of religion. They stretch, they reach, they take hold far beyond the pages where they are bound. The power of these psalms to connect us to our God has in many ways been diminished, maybe even forgotten in our modern modes of worship. So my hope is that through this series, we're reclaiming some of their power for our own prayer and for our own worship together. There are 150 of them all told, and they function in different ways for different times. They're not all the same. Scholars across the ages have worked to study and categorize and help us understand them. And for this series, we've selected 4 categories. There are more, but we've put it into 4 to try and give us a handhold for when and how we ought to pray them. Pastor Jess and Pastor Matt introduced us in the first weeks to Psalms of praise and then Psalms of lament, cries for help. You can go back and catch those on our Plattwoods Church YouTube channel. And today, as I've already said, we're going to take a look at what we might best call Psalms of trust. Last week, as Pastor Matt talked about Psalms of lament, and in midweek chapel the week before, Candace Shaw preached about the imprecatory Psalms. Those are the ones with the most vitriolic and vengeant language unleashed towards God, where anger takes over command central and the psalmist lets it rip. You can always catch her message on our podcast. But in these imprecatory Psalms and in the lament Psalms, we find the prayers of those for whom the bottom has completely dropped out. Cries from places of despair, rock bottom. There are a lot of helpful words that we find there. Psalms of trust, then, share many similarities with those 2 categories. We find the language of lament. We find descriptions of destitution or heartache or struggle or fear, but the tone is slightly different. The balance shifts less toward the harsh reality and a tad more toward the remembrance of God's faithfulness and the possibility of what is to come. One scholar suggests that it's almost like the Psalms of lament are prayers coming from a younger voice, someone who is going through their first crisis, unsure that their feet will find solid ground again. Kind of like newborns, as soon as they are hungry, wailing as if they are dying because they believe that they are. They do not yet realize that their mother will feed them again. The Psalms of trust, on the other hand, are voiced by a prayer who has been in the rodeo before, so to speak. They are not afraid to name the troubles that assail them. They're not denying the hardships of life, but they are counterbalanced with words of assurance and trust. That because they have known God to show up before, they know that God is with them and showing up again. Another way to think about it is that the Psalms of trust are taking a longer view in both directions, to the past and to the future. And this gives us a helpful template for our prayers today. Take Psalm 40, for example. We're going to try something here. I'm going to read excerpts from Psalm 40, and I want you to hear the movement back and forth between the bad and the good, the cries of calamity and the prayers of trust. So I'm going to split you up right down this aisle, this side of the room and this side of the room. We're going to do a close reading of the text together. This could be a complete train wreck, but we're going to try it. When the verse is describing calamity, the psalmist is crying out, it's a problem that the psalmist is having. This side of the room, I want you to raise your hands. So if you hear the psalmist like, this is bad, you raise your hands. When you hear that the psalmist is describing what God is doing or could do or is going to do, so the good work that God is doing, this side, raise your hand. Got it? We'll try it. Here we go. All right. I waited patiently for the Lord. Waiting. Waiting's not fun. This is a problem. All right. He inclined to me and heard my cry. Good job. He drew me up from the desolate pit, out of the miry bog. Okay, good job. And set my feet upon a rock. That's good. Making my steps secure. He put a new song in my mouth. A song of praise to our God. Many will see and fear and put their trust in the Lord. Happy are those who make the Lord their trust, who do not turn to the proud, lots of good stuff here, to those who go astray after false gods. Okay, God's doing some good stuff. Do not, O Lord, withhold your mercy from me. Let your steadfast love and your faithfulness keep me safe forever. For evils have encompassed me without number. My iniquities have overtaken me until I cannot see. They are more than the hairs of my head, and my heart fails me. That's bad. That's bad stuff. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. Let all those be put to shame and confusion who seek to snatch away my life. Let those be turned back and brought to dishonor. God's going to bring dishonor. Who desire my hurt. Let those be appalled because of their shame, who say to me, aha, aha. But may all who seek you rejoice and be glad in you. May those who love your salvation say continually, great is the Lord. As for me, I am poor and needy. You guys are doing a really great job over here. But the Lord takes thought for me. You are my help and my deliverer. Do not delay, oh my God. Good job. It wasn't a train wreck. Trust psalms like this one give us this pendulum for prayer that creates space to name our reality, but also the courage to reach out and trust in God. Trust is an interesting topic these days, isn't it? Trust issues come up in daily conversation, in workplace dynamics, in personal relationships, in memes, in work with your therapist. It's part of daily parlance now to acknowledge that we all have our own trust issues. Why is that? What is trust anyway, and why does it seem to be eroding all around us? Trust in its purest form is a firm belief in the ability and reliability of someone or something. We're born with a lot of it. We have to be. We can't do anything for ourselves at the beginning. As children, we have no reason to believe that our grown-ups aren't going to feed us or protect us or come back for us until the first time that they don't. We trust that other humans like us, want to play with us, aren't going to hurt us until they do. We begin life in the reality that people and systems and structures will do what they are supposed to do. But life happens quickly, and by circumstance or by intention, people fail us. Systems falter, mistakes happen, our trust tempers over time. Chronic distrust is a more clinical term for what we informally refer to as trust issues. And chronic distrust comes from a few different places. You can probably guess that, like most of our pathology, it often goes back to our childhood. If your earliest human bonding with your parents was riddled with broken trust or unpredictability, then what foundation would you have to trust any other human? Chronic distrust can also come from trauma in relationships, through tragedy, from unexpected events or changes in critical areas of your life, places like school or work or family and friendships. Trauma in our hearts can feel like it's written in stone. Once we've been burned, we are highly cautious in those situations again. My favorite thing that I learned about chronic distrust or trust issues as I was preparing for this sermon is that a third cause can simply be a matter of personality. Naturally less agreeable people tend to be more prone to distrusting others. You might just be grumpy. But all that to say, whatever amount of trust we have, and for whatever reasons we might have lost it, all of us still place it somewhere. We can't function in this world without some level of trust in something. Think about all the things and people that you have to trust on a daily basis, and you do so without even thinking. I trust the technology of my phone to activate the alarm to wake me up every day. Fortunately, I also have a 9-year-old early riser as a backup. I trust them both. I trust that when I turn the faucet, clean water will come out so I can brush my teeth. I trust that the milk I pour on my kids' cereal won't make them sick. I trust that the bus driver will get my precious cargo to school and back safely. I trust that the traffic lights on my way to work will be timed properly to prevent mayhem and accidents at every intersection. Each of these unconscious moments every day has a person, a system, an agency, a machine, engineering, technology behind it. All of them hold pieces of my trust. When we scope out wider than these daily acts of trust, we can ask ourselves, where do we put our trust on a bigger scale? To whom or to what do we entrust our lives, our livelihood, our well-being, our security, our future? Some of us trust a spouse, maybe a parent or a child, to bring meaning to our lives, to partner with us, to care for us. Some of us trust our money, our investments, our financial advisors to get us to the finish line with enough to survive or even leave a legacy behind. Money is what gives us our security. Some of us trust politics, political structures, candidates, or economic ideals to deliver the way of life that seems best for us. Some of us trust ourselves, our own capability and pluckiness, our perspective and knowledge to be what protects us, what guarantees that we'll make it another day, and maybe even have a little fun along the way. If you had to answer right now, on the spot, where you put your trust, what would your answer be? Do those categories ring true? None of these seem like bad things to trust. And certainly life requires that we behave with some measure of trust in each of these things, and yet Psalm 146 starkly admonishes us, do not put your trust in princes, in human beings who cannot save. When their spirit departs, they return to the ground. On that very day, their plans come to nothing. Blessed are those whose help is the God of Jacob, whose hope is in the Lord their God. All of us are going to put our trust somewhere. The Psalms of trust give us language and the consistent reminder to place it rightly. And of course, that is with God. The only recipient of our trust, however much or how little of it we have, the only recipient who can fully handle it and who in the end will not fail, abandon, or neglect us is the one who made us and loves us. We may not always feel that or believe it to be true, but our very beings need us to proclaim it. We need the possibility to exist. We long to hold on to that purest of trust that inhabited our bodies at birth. We are made to cling to an eternal and everlasting care for us. And so the Psalms invite us to that proclamation, even when we might not feel it, even when we are in the depths of despair. Perhaps the best example of a psalm of trust is the one that most people know, the one we prayed earlier, Psalm 23. And I wonder if the widespread familiarity and love for this particular psalm doesn't tell us something right off the bat about our human instinct and longing to trust in someone who will not let us down. If we look at Psalm 23 for a moment together today, we find a framework for what I think are the basic components of trust. The things God comes through on, past, present, and future, even when our lives are a shambles. You'll likely know some or all of this psalm, thanks to Coolio, if nothing else. And as we read it together this time, tune your ears into a trust frequency. Read it through that lens, if you will. What is God bringing to the table in this psalm that we might hold on to as we learn to place our trust in God? So let's read it together aloud. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. Here are some things that I hear in the words of the 23rd Psalm that weave through all of the trust Psalms for the kinds of things we can trust God for. We can trust God for provision, protection, and for prospering. The image of the shepherd sets this off for us right at the beginning. Simply invoking the person of a shepherd invited early worshipers to think of their God as one who would provide, protect, and prosper them. I shall not want completes that first line. As a kid, I didn't fully understand that turn of phrase. I always thought, there's a lot of things I shall want. Newer translations help us out a little bit by saying, I lack nothing, or I have what I need. Again, we might still take issue with that at our different levels of desire, but God here is a shepherd, not a genie. God provides what is needed for the sheep to live. Green pastures, rest, water, restoration. I hear witness to this kind of trust and truth far more often at the socioeconomic margins than I do with the financially secure. Our siblings here and around the world who have very little and often have every reason to believe that their needs will not be met are the first to give God credit when the well is built in their community, when the roof is repaired on their home by the church volunteers, when the rent is paid by an anonymous neighbor. We can sometimes be tricked into believing that we are our own best providers. The Psalms of Trust and those living at the margins teach us that God is the one who provides. God can be trusted to protect. We can walk through the dark valleys right up alongside death, and God is there with us. We will fear no evil. We can sit at tables across from our enemies. We can be in the most awkward and dangerous dinner conversation of our lives, and God is at the table with us. We are not protected by being removed from these difficult and scary situations. We are protected because God is right in it with us. We are not alone, come what may, even the valley of death. We are protected. And God can be trusted to prosper us. Now, in no way do I mean material prosperity or something like, have more faith and you'll get more stuff. That's utter nonsense. I was looking for a third P word, and this one works in its truest form. So, I love my alliteration. Prospering. Prospering speaks to a deep flourishing, a life lived fully from within, a cup overflowing, if the cup is your heart and your soul. Goodness and mercy follow you all the days of your life. Not that these are the only things that are in your life. That's completely unrealistic, but that they are present with you in all things. Even in the pain, there is a well of goodness that bubbles up. Even in the mistakes and the missteps, you find mercy, both given and received. Your life is rich, not because of what you have, but because of the one who has you grounded in your identity, your belovedness, and who you trust is at your side, come what may. This is what it is to prosper in life, in death, in life beyond death. You know people who demonstrate this prospering. I know people right here in this room who have been to hell and back in this life, in the things that have happened to them, the things they have suffered, the pain they have endured, and yet when you talk with them, you feel the depth of their soul. You see the love still in their eyes. They can say without spite or irony that God is their rock, their light, their shepherd. They trust that God always will be. It is intangible, but it is true. My son, Laz, has nightmares a lot. I'm not sure they're always nightmares. I think he just wants to crawl into my bed with me, so he says he's scared to get my sympathy. But when he does, I sing a simple tune. It comes from Psalm 56, hoping to write it on his heart. When I am afraid, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. I will trust in you. When I am afraid, I will trust in you. In living God whose word I praise. Our fear can lead us to many things, to anger, to hate, to suffering. That's Yoda, that's not the Bible. But the only thing that can balance our fear and overcome it is trust. The trust Psalms give us a library of words and images for our God, who is the only one who can truly fulfill every aspect of our trust in this life and in the life to come. And those images steady us. They help us to stay the course, particularly when the shadows fall across our path or the enemy sits down at the table across from us. I challenge you this week to take a look at the Psalms that we've given you. You'll receive a card on your way out today with different Psalms for different categories. But look at the Psalms of trust, 23, 27, 40, 46. There are many more. But read them, mine them for an image. Find an image that resonates with you as something that can be counted on, something that can be trusted. Shepherd, rock, shield, light, refuge, fortress, mother. Come back to it daily this week. And when you are afraid, uncertain, alone, call to mind, cling to that image of God and say out loud wherever you are, I trust you. Even if you don't feel it, start saying it. It's a simple start, but we're taking a long view to the past and to the present, and our hearts are shaped in trust over time. I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined and heard my cry. Will you pray with me? These words adapted from Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Should I fear anyone? The Lord is a fortress protecting my life. Should I be frightened of anything? But I have sure faith that I will experience the Lord's goodness in the land of the living. Hope in the Lord. Be strong. Let your heart take courage. Hope in the Lord. Amen.